Rangers put it in the offensive zone. Edstrom to Rempe. He scores!
Barzell has Lee and Horvat out in front. Got it to Horvat, and he scores!
We're back, baby!
And here's this scrum. Now look, Garland and McDavid are fighting here for position. There's going to be a time, eventually, that Garland's got him pinned right here. Like, right, this is a penalty. It should be called. At the end of it, he cross-checks him right in the...
Oh, you mother... Okay. You think you can do this to me? King Kong ain't got shit on me!
Hi, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. And Anthony, I will admit, I was kind of a little bit pulling to see whether or not there was a good Hollywood clip that could go with the JT Miller situation. Training day was the best I could come up with, so in case if it didn't fit exactly right there. I apologize about that, everybody. But I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams, back, and it is nice and cold up here in Long Island. And I'm joined by the man from the hockey news, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Thrilling win by my Bills on Sunday over the Ravens, and now on to the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs have been Allen and the Bills' kryptonite in the playoffs. Haven't beat them yet, so I'm hoping this is the year that they get over the hump. So I'm very looking forward to Sunday.
Well, out of all the teams that are left, Anthony, I do have to tell you, I'm rooting for your Bills. Not just because it's your Bills, but I don't know. You know what? Bill Belichick used to say, "Hold on every play," because they can't call holding on every play. Maybe they're just coached how the refs are going to call the game. I don't know. We're going to see about that one. But a lot has happened around the NHL. I know you guys are tired of hearing me say that every single week, but a lot did happen this week. And we're going to start in the A block, where we're going to go to the Vancouver New York Rangers storyline, because there's a player that could have been on the move, but a trade did not materialize. And of course, the A block is brought to you by Seat Geek. Use the promo code BigAppleHockey for $20 off your first order. Going to ask you to bring that comment up in 1 second. Anthony, here we go. David saying that the Bills make it to the Super Bowl. I can't afford to go, but I can afford to mail myself there and sneak in. Hey, Anthony, would you try to go?
No, it's like $4,200 a piece for a ticket. That's too rich for my blood. So
yeah,
I'll be sitting that one out. But yeah,
I gotta agree with you on that one. I think that's one of those where you just go, you know what? I'll watch from home. I'll be okay. I mean, it's been a while since I actually really cared so much about a Super Bowl, both because it's been a while. But let's get back to hockey and what the A block has, because last week, Anthony, yes, the Rangers were 3-0-1. That 1 point that they gave away, Anthony, we're going to talk about that one in a second, as well as one of their wins. They got points in 9 straight games, 6-1-3 in their last 10, and they're now 50 points with 2 points back of wild card number 2. But the big news that happened this weekend, JT Miller almost traded to the New York Rangers, but the deal did not go through. There's different reports on what made it not go through. I'm going to get more out of you on this in a second, Anthony. First, let's start with this. Are the Rangers proving to you that they are a playoff team?
I mean, yeah, they're playing a lot better. You could say they turned it around. But, for me, and again, I know the players just want to win. They want to get in the playoffs, and the saying goes, anything can happen. But for me, I think personally, the Rangers are kind of screwing up here. I mean, I think they'd be more suited to miss the playoffs, sell off pieces, get assets, get a little younger, maybe be in the lottery for James Hagens, and you can kind of reshape your team because I mean let's face it, if they make the playoffs, Mark, I don't think they would beat Washington, the best team in the NHL. New Jersey, they struggle with a lot. I think that would be a tough matchup. Carolina, they have proven that they can beat in the playoffs, but Carolina is also a much different team this year, in my opinion. So my point is, while anything could happen, I don't think they would have a magical run that they've had, last year going to the conference finals or years past. I think it could be a quick exit for them. And again, like I just said, I know the players don't care about that. They just want to get in the playoffs because playoff hockey is the best and anything can happen. But when you look at the roster, Chris Kreider's aging. Mika Zibanejad, while he's been a lot better, you could see that, the permanent fall off in his game, it probably isn't too far off. So Panarin's even getting a little older. So like, it wouldn't hurt them to miss the playoffs, sell off Kreider, try to trade Zibanejad, trade Lindgren, get picks, and kind of do what the Capitals did and get a little stronger next season. I think it would benefit them more long term. But if they keep winning games, I don't think that's really going to be on Chris Drury's radar. So are they a playoff team? I mean, yeah, they're 2 points behind Montreal, so it's certainly possible. But we'll see if they can keep this kind of consistent play going here for another couple of weeks, maybe into the Four Nations break, and see how they come out of it. But they certainly put themselves in position where they can make the playoffs. Like I just said, though, and outlined, I think they'd probably be better off selling off some older pieces and, getting a little younger. And like you said, I mean, even you and Phil both were beating the drum not that long ago. You had a tank for James Hagens. If you could get in the lottery and at least have a shot at it, I mean, why wouldn't you want to be in contention to get a player like that? But now at this point, they probably put themselves out of that happening. So, we'll see what happens. But that's just my take. I think they should have just, like I said, not to keep repeating myself, it probably be best if they just missed the playoffs, sold off pieces. Because you know what? Let me continue this thought. And every general manager is different. Not everybody's going to do what Lou Lamoriello did because every general manager has different visions. But the worst thing I think that happened to the Rangers now is, let's say you do get in the playoffs, a wild card spot, and you get in and then you lose in the first round, and then your GM says, okay, well, look how well we played down the stretch, and let's keep the band together, and then next year comes, and then next year goes even worse than it did this year. Then it was just kind of like fool's gold, and that's similar happened to the Islanders. I mean, Lou Lamoriello, the last 2 years, coming off back-to-back conference finals trips, the Islanders make the playoffs twice. They get waxed by Carolina both times in the first round. And I think qualifying for the playoffs those 2 years, I think tricked Lou Lamoriello into believing that maybe this team's window is still open, or they could still, possibly go on another run to the conference finals. And qualifying for the playoffs those 2 years, I think added fuel to Lamoriello's fire about in the offseason. Oh, well, let me keep this group together because, we got in and maybe they still have some more runs in them. And now look what's happening this year. So again, the Rangers get into the playoffs. Okay, yeah, you don't sell off a couple pieces that you could kind of retool your system. You get in, you lose in the first round. And then, now what? You were kind of tricked into thinking that your team could still win when in reality you're on the downtick. So, yeah, they very well could still get into the playoffs. 2 points is nothing, at this point. But I just don't know what the long play is here. You get in. Again, are you really getting past Florida? Are you getting past Toronto, Washington? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. And the problem is, as soon as they put pen to paper with Igor Shesterkin, they had to make a move now. Because, yeah, long term, if this would have worked. But the problem is they started putting things together. Now, here's what we do know. Analyzing Igor Shesterkin, especially the last 3 years, he has his late season run that he goes on. The last 2 seasons in particular, he had over a .928 save percentage from the All-Star break on. We know he's not playing in the Four Nations tournament, so he's going to be well rested.
My sincere condolences, Johnny. That's tough.
Goodness.
I feel.
Yeah. Johnny, sorry to hear that. Yeah. And matter of fact, friend of mine from Boss Crokers lost a battle with brain cancer, 29 years old. That's just, it's always a hard thing. But Shesterkin is going to have a run, and Shesterkin is going to be the goaltender that they're paying him to be. Now, we do know that. And right now they're paying him only $5.667 million. So they need him to be that dollar value. They have cap space. They can add on a player. Should it be JT Miller? We'll get into that in a little bit. But Anthony, their target was the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the year. They're now too far out of the James Higgins sweepstakes. It ain't going to happen. It might happen for the Islanders. We'll talk about that in a minute. But or at least being within reach. But as far as the Rangers go, they play their way out of it. Now they still have half a season. And Drury could still do things to the roster and make sure that he can make them competitive. As of right now, are they going to win a playoff series? I highly doubt it. As of right now. Can they take a team to 7 games? Possibly. Because, Anthony, one thing I can't help but look at and go, the New York Rangers last year, they hung their hat on one thing. Power play. Power play is still 20th in the league. They need to get that power play way up. Chris Kreider needs to get healthier. They need to not blow leads, the teams that they're playing against and competing against, like the Montreal Canadiens, who are currently in wildcard position. But also, they need to make sure that when they go up against Columbus Blue Jackets, when Igor was absolutely sensational, and they need 2 points in that game, but they need to make sure the Blue Jackets don't get 1, because now the Blue Jackets are still ahead of the Rangers. They have a shot at it. They're probably going to make the playoffs. What also should worry you as a fan, us as pundits a little bit, and Anthony does hit the nail on the head with this one thing. Don't buy in 100%. You can't push your chips in all in. If this team is really hot at trade deadline, different story, Anthony. But if they're still by the time trade deadline comes, tinker with it a little bit, try to make the playoffs. Do not give up that first-round draft pick, and do not give up young assets, especially for a 31 to 32-year-old center who really hasn't really achieved his full potential. But that's a different story. Get more about that in a minute. Anthony, let's change gears. Let's go right to the Islanders for a second, because their situation is a little bit more, I think it's a little bit more concrete, where the Rangers are a little bit more fluid. The Islanders, 2-1 last week. I think they won 5 of their last 7 right now. So they're making a nice little push, but they're still 7 points back of Montreal. In this case, would you advise a retool for them?
Yeah, I certainly think a retool is needed. But again, though, Lou Lamoriello, you never really know with him. He might still believe in the group. And if you listen to Elliot Friedman, he even mentioned that he wonders about the Islanders for JT Miller, and I mean that would make a lot of Islander fans lose their minds if Lou Lamoriello traded for JT Miller, especially if he traded him for futures, traded futures for him, I should say. But I mean, when you think about it, he almost acquired JT Miller on the draft floor in 2022. I mean, we were doing our show live when it happened. They were reporting that, Islanders were talking to Vancouver. It looked like a deal could get done. And then, for whatever reason, it fell apart. And if you remember right after, Lou Lamoriello had the quote, like, when he asked about it, he's like, oh, you'll have to ask Vancouver about that, about why, what happened. So you can tell he was ticked about that. Because you know how he is, Mark. If a move gets tipped off before it's done, he'll walk away from it. That's seemingly what happened. And then instead he used the first to get, Romanov from Montreal. But so just that alone, you have to think about where his mind is. He still could believe. He could see this team has won 5 out of 7. He could look at it, look at a scenario, which I kind of had outlined a couple of times now, like the teams that are ahead of them, Montreal, Ottawa, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Detroit, while some of them are playing better and a little improved, they're still flawed teams that are really just alive here because everything is so mediocre. So, he might believe if you win a couple more in a row, let's say you win 3 in a row, a couple of the teams falter and that 7-point deficit maybe goes to 3 or 4, he might still go forward with this group. And again, I know that's not what Islander fans want to hear. But right now that's the reality. With that said though, if come the trade deadline and they're still 7 points back, then I think he'll ultimately he will sell some pieces and look for a retool. And it's not the worst thing. I mean, look, the Capitals did it, right? I mean, the Capitals, we talked about it last week. The Capitals looked dreadful last year, and they made a couple smart moves. They traded peanuts for Andrew Mangiapane. He's fit in well. They gave bigger roles to younger players like Connor McMichael and Alexei Protas. They traded hockey trade Nick Jensen for Jacob Chikrin. They brought in Logan Thompson to strengthen up their goaltending. And lo and behold, they're the best team in the league right now. So, and Islander, like any fan base, the Islander fans are very dramatic. They're like, oh, rip it down to the studs. They need a rebuild, and that stuff is further. It couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, you still have super talented players in Barzal, Horvat, Ilya Sorokin in goal. Noah Dobson, even though, well, actually, he just got hurt the other day, which didn't really look good. If you saw the way his knee bent.
No, it did not.
And even though he's having an off year, he's still a very good player. Simon Holmstrom starting to come into his own. I mean, he's missed some time and he's over 10 goals. He's a solid middle six player. And then you have Cole Eiserman and Danny Nelson coming down the pipe. So they don't need a rebuild. They just need to do what the Capitals did. If they're out of it at the deadline, Mark, as much as it pains me to say, because you know how much I love him, you trade Brock Nelson, you trade Kyle Palmieri, maybe you move JG Pajot, who's been in the rumor mill for 2 years now. After this year, he only has 1 year left on his deal. Salary cap is going way up to $92 million. So, Mark, if you trade Nelson, Palmieri, Pajot, that's $6 million, $5 million, $5 million, so 10. That's $16 million of cap space freed up from those guys being gone. And then with the cap space going up, you have a lot of opportunity to retool your roster. And I think that's what the Islanders need to do. I think that's the move that they need to. Those are the moves they need to make. Kind of see. We'll kind of see what goes from there. So if you could trade Brock Nelson to Dallas for a younger player like Maverick Bourque, I mean, some fans are out to lunch if you think you're getting Logan Stankoven. I mean, that ship has sailed 2 years ago. But like a guy like Maverick Bourque and maybe a second-round pick, third-round pick, that would be a good piece for the Islanders to have in a retool. So to put a bow on it and wrap it up, I think they do need a retool. But again, in Lou's mind, you're still – when's the trade deadline? March 8th?
I think it's actually March 7th this year. It might be March 8th.
Yeah, so you still have a decent amount of time between now and then. And, and Mark, you see how quickly a deficit could evaporate. It wasn't that long ago. The Rangers were 7 points out of a playoff spot themselves. So, if the Islanders win a couple of games in a row, they could get back into it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And again, it's gonna be March 7th at 3:00 this year. So we're gonna have a usual trade deadline show. and looking forward to that. Anthony, by the way, look at no, not really looking, but thank you for what you just said, because I was going to direct it back to you to ask whether or not Brock Nelson would be in retool trades if that does happen. I think the Islanders are just a retool. You can't rip them down to the studs because you got Barzal signed long term. You have we'll get to Chris's statement in 1 second. You have Barzal signed long term. You have Horvat signed long term. You have Sorokin signed long term. Engvall for some reason signed long term. You know what? I don't kill the Mayfield deal. I know he's everybody wants to kill that contract. He was performing pretty well for what he was getting paid originally. So I think it's actually low AAV you're able to have a little bit more flexibility if you did want to move him. But also at the same token, you said it best. Danny Nelson and Cole Yzerman, they're absolutely off limits, especially those two guys. Nelson has performed so good. And Cole Yzerman, imagine if you end up putting him with James Higgins, the Long Island boy, playing for the Long Island team. I already wrote their PR department for the next season in case if that happens. So there you go.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's what my earlier point. Like Islander fans would burn UBS to the ground if Lou were to include a player like Danny Nelson in a trade for JT Miller. They're not in a position to trade for futures. So I hope he realizes that. But again, Mark, he does what he wants. I don't think he ever gives up hope on his group. Oddly enough, the Islanders acquired Bo Horvat like this time of year. It was like January 30th, right? Couple right before the All-Star break, they traded for Horvat. And now, mind you, at that time they weren't 7 points out. I think they were only like maybe 3 or 4. But point is, he doesn't really give up on his team unless it's like 100% certain that they're not going to be, in the mix. So that's why it's still too early to say what he's going to do. It's really going to depend on how the next, 6 weeks go or so.
Yeah, and I think that's the good thing about Lou. He's going to be prudent and wait 6 weeks to figure that one out. He's not just going to sign a guy to an 8-year, $11.5 million deal back in December when you're not sure how your season is going to go. I tell you, everybody, get used to it for the next 8 years because I hate that contract, and I'm going to be proven right at the very end, not wrong. At worst, I get a meh out of that. But it's as much as Kyle Palmieri has contributed to the Islanders, it's going to be a dark day when Brock Nelson goes because Brock Nelson has epitomized the New York Islanders, especially in the post-John Tavares era. Good two-way player, tenacious. His production went up. I mean, usually you lose a talented guy like John Tavares, people's production goes down. He's had the best seasons of his career since then. You got to love what you've seen. And maybe Anders Lee gets moved as well. I think that would be a conversation.
That one's probably a huge stretch, though. I mean, he's the captain. I think Lou's very loyal to him. I can't imagine a scenario where he trades Anders Lee. But
I gave the scenario. Ring, ring. Hey, Lou, it's Billy Guerin from Minnesota. Can we bring the hometown boy back here? Bang, he goes back. And who knows? Maybe Bill Guerin's talking to him about Brock Nelson, who he named to the Four Nations tournament. But it's the hard part with the Islanders is you don't know what team you're going to get every single night. And hey, kudos to that team for the way they played against Columbus Monday night. Unfortunately, let's go cover this one incident that happened in the game. By the way, Anthony, just to mention, it happened during a graphic showing the amount of offensive possession time Matt Barzal had, which was 2:16, which was almost a full minute 45 ahead of everyone else. So Matt Barzal possesses the puck in the offensive zone. We know that. But but apparently it expressed disappointment with the crowd at UBS. Anthony, I know people online are killing him for this. I ain't killing him. I'll start with you, though. All right. Well,
no, I listen, he's a competitor. He wants to win. And you look up and you see an arena that's not very full. It can be frustrating. And this is a guy that he's been to a couple of conference finals. He knows what playoff hockey and what being close feels like. And they're right now they have a lot of work to do to get back in the playoff mix. But at the same time, though, I mean, I don't blame fans right now. They're 7 points out in January. Their penalty kill and power play have been at the bottom of the league. They haven't been good at home. They've blew some leads at home that have been bad. So he can't really be surprised, or shouldn't be surprised, that fans aren't gonna line up to spend their hard-earned money to come see a team that right now doesn't look like they're gonna be competing to play come April when the season ends. And then like you mentioned before we came on air, on top of that you add in stuff like the temperature, the national championship game was on that night. It was inauguration day. Like, people are off and doing other things. And so it was a perfect mix for the crowd to be light, to be quite honest with you. Now, if that crowd if it would have been like that on a Saturday, then, that's something that would be really surprising. But when you consider everything combined, I'm not surprised by it. So I side with both. I mean, I get the fans' point of view. And I also understand why Barzal's frustrated, but listen, put a winning product on the ice, and it wouldn't be an issue. I mean, that's the issue is really on management, but Barzal noticed it and said something about it. I'm sure he wishes that the camera wasn't on him at that time, but he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything wrong. There were lip readers around. Fans shouldn't be mad at him. I mean, he wants to play in front of a large crowd. So be it. I would too.
Right. And another thing, just to add on top of it, there was a fan on Instagram that he was signing an autograph for. That was
they asked about it. Yeah.
He asked him about it, but he was being positive and he was trying to let him know, like, even in that situation, that's a no-win for Barzal. Barzal's a smart guy. He knows how to talk in public. It's one of those things that just I don't understand what the fan's intention was, so I'm not killing the fan either. And I'm definitely not killing Barzal because, like we said, this guy played Game 6 in Nassau Coliseum, the last game ever there, and it was deafening, and you could tell that from watching the game at home. And, I mean, you've been to playoff games at the Coliseum. I've been at playoff games at the Coliseum. Granted, the last one I saw at the Coliseum was Sean Bates' penalty shot. Oh, wait, it was Game 4. And you could barely hear yourself think. That's how loud it was. And yes, he wants that in UBS, and yes, he wants that atmosphere. They caught him in an unfortunate moment. I do not blame Barzal. He's already getting paid, so it's not even that. He just wants a fan base there. This is one time I actually can defend the player 100% on that, and just move on from there. And also just kind of let it sit. It's in the background, but again, I think what people should take out of that moment isn't what he was saying, or maybe he wasn't saying what people think he was saying. Take out the fact that he was killing it in offensive possession time. It says it on the graphic, right? That was right there. But Anthony, let's before we get to JT Miller, let's go through one other thing. And this is big news, and we're putting it in the A block. It was in the introduction. Connor McDavid was suspended 3 games, as well as Tyler Myers, both of them cross-checking guys right in the face. McDavid's incident, it was Connor Garland. I forget who Myers' guy was. But you get people that are saying right now, Connor McDavid, he takes all this abuse. He doesn't draw as many penalties. The refs let people get away with everything on him, and he doesn't deserve 3 games. Anthony, I got to start this one. No, he deserved 3 games. You can't cross-check somebody in the face. Can't. What if, first off, let me start with this one. This is the reason why you have to go hard on these guys right away. And by the way, Anthony, I was irate on Twitter last Thursday night when Siplikov was suspended 3 games, or Friday, when he was suspended 3 games. I didn't think that was a deserved incident, but I understand the blindside rule is in there. That's what they're trying to say. But I mean, what's Siplikov supposed to do in that moment? Getting back to McDavid, and we can get back to Siplikov in a moment. But back to McDavid, if he hits him in the Adam's apple, that's so much worse. And that's why don't go trying to cross-check guys in the face. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, I get that the referee should have called the penalty on Connor Garland earlier.
Yep.
And if that happens, McDavid probably doesn't cross-check him in the, where he did. He was frustrated, but at the end of the day, I don't care. Like you can't just get up and just cross someone in the, in the face because you're frustrated that they were kind of mugging you on the ice. It's just inexcusable, and I don't care that he's the best player in the world. You can't do that, and I have no problem with the league suspending them for 3 games. And not only that, but like while it was a penalty what Garland was doing, it's not like he was doing like unforgivable things when he was on the ground, like spearing them in certain areas or doing anything heinous. He was just giving him the business on the ground. And McDavid got up and was frustrated. Now, if like Garland had done something like that, did something really dirty or really cheap when McDavid was on the ice, and then he got up and did what he did, I might feel a little differently. But no, that's not the case. He was just kind of holding them down and, like I said, just kind of holding them, giving them business a little bit. Like he didn't do anything, that was atrocious to him. McDavid gets up and does something really dirty and cross-checks him in the face. That's not called. It's uncalled for, and he deserves a 3-game suspension. And like I said, the ref should have called Garland for a penalty. And if they do, that doesn't happen. But that's ifs. It wasn't the case. And McDavid just handled it poorly.
And I'm looking to see if the chat let me know who was in the and by the way, we got our illustrious Mr. Filkowski watching right now. Everybody remember to like, share, subscribe. But I was looking to see whether or not I can remember who the Myers cross check was on. But Anthony, I'll bring up this incident, and it's one that you and I in our fan bases we know very well. Ryan Hallwig on Chris Simon. Ryan Hallwig checks Chris Simon. Chris Simon turns around, sees Ryan Hallwig, and slashes him in the face. If he missed, you're talking about potentially Ryan Hallwig dying on the ice. You cannot let that happen, because here you hit his chin. Oh no, it's a bad incident. You hit his trachea. You might be talking about something else entirely. Yeah. So again, guys that are doing stuff like this, no, you gotta make an example, and it doesn't matter if he's the best player in the league. You got to be held to an even better example. So if let's say this is the first time offense, it's not, by the way, I believe, but it's not. But let's say if it was McDavid's first time offense, I got to give him 3 games and go, dude, you're the face of our league. You can't be doing this. And secondly, for that matter, speaking of people that shouldn't be fighting on their own, there was a scrum in the Ranger game last night. I don't know if you saw this, Anthony, but Igor Shesterkin got bowled over by Brady Tkachuk, and then he comes up and just takes a run at Tkachuk. Tkachuk already having Braden Schneider in a hold is taking on Shesterkin. Those skates are not made for a goalie to go after somebody.
No.
First, let's start with that. And he's immediately knocked over, and at the bottom of a pile, every Ranger fan should have been holding their breath going, oh my God, all it takes is one blown out ACL or maybe a problem in the groin, and that changes around the Rangers season. But this is You can't be doing that. Let the guys take care of it. And that's something I've expressed my concern with Shesterkin before. He's a bit of a hothead. He goes after guys. And after all, if he doesn't hit Timo Meier, maybe the Rangers beat the Devils 2 years ago. But it's going to be interesting. And by the way, some good names are being mentioned in the group chat or the comments. But Anthony, one more thing for the A block. It would have been in our B block, but we don't. We're just gonna talk about it in general. But the reports that are circling around, JT Miller almost traded to the New York Rangers. And first off, the deal, there's a rumored deal from every other person all over the place. So I'm not gonna get too far into it. Supposedly it was Hedel, 2 young players, maybe Braden Schneider, who they coveted, and a draft pick. Anthony, I don't see it. I just don't see JT Miller going back to the Rangers. And it's not just my feeling on reunions. I don't like the fit. I don't know what the purpose of getting him is. And if you're going to bring in a guy that's $8 million, what are you doing? Like him and Zibanejad are going to be unmovable for the next 5 years. And he was already a problem in New York. So I'll see to you, Anthony.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that it seemed like it was so close to happening, and then it just literally at least right now, fell apart to the point where it was like the next game after the scratch players in Hartford played, Miller played, and things kind of just, totally just went away here for a bit. I would imagine both teams are still talking. That I'm pretty much 100% certain of. Can they? My thing is with the Rangers, can they make up that gap that caused things to break down? Like there's word that the Canucks wanted, the Rangers wanted certain trade protection on the first round pick, and the Canucks, I guess didn't like that. They want a guaranteed first. So if that's true, can they find a way to clear that hurdle? And then there's talks of, the Canucks are concerned about Filip Hedel's injury history, which is rightfully so. I mean, you're talking about a guy that, could, God forbid, he gets hit one more time in the head, and that could be it. So do they want to give up a guy like Miller and get, him as the main piece back and, and have to deal with him maybe getting hurt again? So, can they kind of overcome these things and maybe come to a common ground, or, could the Rangers add something else to compensate for those worries, or, could, the Rangers give them a guaranteed first next year, or, in lieu of a pick this year? That's all stuff that, we can't, say. And actually, Phil just brings this up, which I forgot about in the moment, but there was the report that the Canucks wanted to retain salary. And I mean, that part, I think, that's a really tough hurdle to overcome, because, it's not like Miller has 2 more years left on his deal where you could say, okay, well, it's not a big deal if the Canucks retain, 25%, because a year it'll be gone. He's under contract to 29 season. After the 28-29 season, his contract expires.
I believe it's a 2030. I'll double check.
So
that right now.
I mean, there's no shot that a team is going to retain, a portion of a guy's salary for, you're talking, 5 years. That's just not. I know the cap is going up, but do you really want to retain that much salary on a guy that's going to be on your books for 5 more years and he's not playing for you? I would sincerely doubt that. So, if the Rangers are demanding that the Canucks retain salary on Miller, I don't know if that's something that you can get past. I mentioned this before. I mean, if Zibanejad was going back the other way, then that kind of clears that hurdle, because the salaries and years are almost a wash. But clearly, Zibanejad is not waving to go to Vancouver. So without Zibanejad going the other way, I can see why the Rangers want that salary retained. But I don't see Vancouver caving on that. So the Rangers would either A, have to accept that they're not going to do that, or, they try to come up with some other solution. But the last rumored deal that Friedman had said, because there was a lot of different rumors.
There's so many different rumors. That's why
or Schneider.
We're not getting into details.
Then it was Lindgren, but I think the latest that Friedman said it was Hedl, a first, and a prospect. So, that's, if that wasn't good enough for Vancouver because of the protection on the pick, and then Hedl's injury history, then I don't know. I don't know where they move from there. So, yeah, he could still very well become a New York Ranger. The Carolina Hurricanes are apparently in the mix. You heard the Devils, the Stars mentioned a little bit too. But Friedman said that his belief is that Miller wants to go somewhere in the Northeast region. So, that's Islanders, Devils, Bruins. Yeah. So we'll see what transpires. He played last night, so I would guess a deal isn't really imminent, being that he played last night. So, but these things can kind of come together quick. All it takes is one phone call to change things.
Well, one thing to mention also is he's from East Palestine, Ohio, so why not possibly go play for the Blue Jackets? Davidson might want to take a big swing and try to go get him. Maybe he's a piece that could actually really help. The discussion I had recently, and we've had this discussion, I think at least a couple times. Oh, what if Alexei Lafreniere was in there? Wow, that's a dangerous precedent, because then you're going to sign a guy to a 70-year deal, and then you say, "Well, we want you here in the future." Yeah, we're going to get rid of you. That's a dangerous precedent. I talk about contracts that they're feasible, but when you trade a guy before his extension doesn't kick in, like if the Rangers did that supposedly to Shesterkin right now, that kind of makes a lot of the stuff that you're looking to do pretty worthless on the contracts. And I would be wary. And this is where people talked about the distrust in the front office and in Chris Drury. And I would have to say, don't do that. Just absolutely don't do that. If a player's got an extension, they're with you next year. Don't go into the those are murky waters. I wouldn't want to navigate those. Because you're gonna have a lot of players that they could have pretty much just they could have waited, just gone to free agency, but they decided to sign with you. In the case of Lafreniere, he could have been a restricted free agent. There might have been a team that would have taken a run on him.
I had to
appreciated him. Yes,
my daughter's tutor left, so I just had to take care of that. But Mark, to kind of just get back in here. I know for the Rangers that obviously they have strong interest in Miller. I know you hate reunions because he played there before.
Absolutely hate reunions.
But I think that. I think that I get why Drury wants him. He's a guy that can score 100 points. And obviously, Drury still believes that this team can win. So, if you could add a player like that to your mix without, subtracting key pieces to it, why not do it? But at the same time, to your point, Mark, yes, he is going to be 32 years old. Do you want to add a guy of that age when some of other your key players are that age as well, like Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin? It's a little dicey. But we'll for me, it made more sense when there was the talk of Zibanejad going the other way. With him still there too, I don't know. He's a good player and all, but I just feel that it would have worked better if Mika went the other way, but beggars can't be choosers, I suppose.
Right. And Anthony, I gotta just again extend to this. You got a guy, he's making $8 million. Just want to make sure of that number. Yeah, $8 million AAV.
So no, just to touch on this, Elliot Friedman had said that's not. He's heard that's not really the case. Miller hasn't really given the team a list of teams or whatnot. He said they have the Canucks have a good idea of what teams he will waive for. So no, I I don't think this is a situation where it's Rangers or anybody. I think he would waive for the Rangers. I think he would waive for the Hurricanes. I think he would waive for the Devils. Again, there's that northeast. The belief is he wants to go back to the northeast region. So I think there are at least four or five teams that he would waive his no move for.
And a lot of people could say, oh, I think one take I saw on this, Miller could be hard on his teammates. And shouldn't that be a guy that you want on this team? Well, not really, because we saw this locker room response to that right now when they try to have their coaches take accountability. And that's from a coach that has won numerous amounts of games, the most for any American-born head coach ever. And he's in the top 10 NHL all time. So let's start with that one. But let's not forget that only two players on this team played with JT Miller as a New York Ranger, Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad. That's it. There's nobody else. So he's not walking into a locker room where he's going to be welcomed back with open arms. Everybody remembered who he was. No, they have no idea who he is. And a lot of people might remember the JT Miller that was banging his stick on the net on a 6-on-5 with the Vancouver Canucks 2 years ago. If you're going to be harming your teammates on the ice, I mean, and then imagine what they're like in the locker room. So I'm not a big fan of Miller, not a big fan of his game. Am I going to cheer for him in the Four Nations tournament? Absolutely. Would I want him on my team? I don't know about that one. I can't answer that 100%. And again, I'll bring this up again. I say it all the time, everybody. Reunions do not work out. They never do. I think Marty Ruchinsky is the only one that had a positive effect. So, but Anthony, just to conclude this. So we have Carolina, the Devils. You said Dallas, because you'd probably wait for Dallas, because why would you go to Dallas?
Yeah.
But
and then like I said, Friedman. And then like I said, Friedman also said he wonders about the Islanders too. But I don't.
Yeah, they were trying a couple years ago. I remember you were on the phones working so diligently on that, and you were saying that it almost happened. So we'll see about that, guys. We have lots of other topics we're going to be covering in the Bar Talk segment, but first, got to have a message from DraftKings. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. And welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we're gauging our confidence on these NHL topics based on our choice of drink. So confident that you're buying around, so I'll have a beer. Oh, God, give me a shot, please. Play along down in the comments below, and feel free to suggest a Bar Talk topic to us in the comments. And Anthony, maybe he'll pick one out at the end. All right. Anthony, I've been vocal about this trade for a while, and now let's look at it from a different angle. Since the trade last month, Kakko, 13 points in 15 games with the Seattle Kraken. I've talked about him thriving a lot. But the other half of that trade needs to be examined too. Will Borgen, only 2 points of the Rangers, but 29 blocks, 29 hits. And he's been playing very good in front of, I mean, I'm not going to go saying he's a Norris Trophy winner, but he's played very good in front of Igor Shesterkin. The Kakko-Borgen trade is a win-win.
I mean, long term, I would say shot, because Kakko has, because of his ceiling and his draft status and how he's looked in Seattle, 13 points, 15 games. If he plays with that pace going forward, this season and the coming years, then, obviously the Kraken would be the benefactor of that trade because, again, of what he could possibly do. But right now, in the meantime, I'll say Beer, because Borgen is playing very sound defensive hockey for the Rangers. He's big. He uses size. He's been good positionally. However, before this trade, Borgen was viewed as he's still young, but just kind of like an average defenseman. Nothing, like you said, not winning a Norris Trophy, but also at the same time, not like AHL fodder either, just like a solid defenseman. And then again, you have Kakko with his pedigree that he comes from. So when you look at this trade quickly, you're going to say, okay, well, if Kakko takes off and finds himself in Seattle, they're the big winners, which is true for the long term. But right now, Borgen has played very solidly for the Rangers. However, just because of where Kakko was selected, Mark, let's say if he goes on next season to turn into a 60 or 70 point player, then the narrative is going to be that the Rangers got taken for a ride on this trade because of what he developed into.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go. It depends on what Borgen does after this. So it depends on what Kakko does after this, because he is an RFA afterwards. So I guess I have to go Beer on this. You can't go anywhere else. You could go Shot if you wanted to, if you want to think long term. But Anthony, I gotta say this, that I think the narrative really should be that the Rangers ignored the letter. They never invested in Kakko. And I know everybody's gonna go, Mark, you're crazy. But you know what? No, they didn't. They always played him like he was a third liner. Especially after the David Quinn incident that Phil has outlined against Calgary. They benched him, and after that, he was always just down in the lineup. Now, there have been games where he played a lot, but this one, he goes to Seattle. There's a fit with Matty Beniers. There's a coach that's playing him. He's not one mistake away from getting on the bench. I've already talked about this last week. Borgen, on the other hand, the Rangers needed help on that blue line, and they needed help desperately. Since he's come in, the Rangers have been pretty solid now that they're used to him. I mean, after all, he took that horrible penalty last night. That he's still confused about what he ever did because Brady Tkachuk just jumped on his back. But Anthony, this could end up being a win-win for everybody involved. And because here's the thing, Kakko was never going to be this in New York. They never planned for him like this. I have no faith in their development.
I mean, like I said, it's a win. It's a win-win right now. But
right.
I mean, not in the future. I mean, Will Borgen is, Will Borgen's not a top 2 defenseman on the team. He's, before being traded to the Rangers, he was never even a top 4 defenseman. So, I mean, if Kakko really takes off, it's not a win-win by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. But it might not be a loss, though. As everybody wants to avoid, we talk about trades for rentals and stuff like that, what you would want. Depending on
No, don't miss it. It will be a loss. If Kakko turns into a 70-point player going forward, being a former second overall pick and flourishes elsewhere, that you can't try to construe that into it's not a loss. It would be.
Well, I'll say this, Anthony. If Kakko was, I think if the Rangers were fully invested in him and they were ready to help him succeed and even motivate him and coach him up properly, then maybe he could have been in the team's Hall of Fame, because that's where Brent Sutter went this week, as Sutter went into the Islanders Hall of Fame. And he played very well for that team in the 80s. And Anthony, I'm going to throw this one out there. The next Islander that should be inducted into the Hall of Fame, Zigmund Palffy.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because I mean Pierre Turgeon's already in the Isles Hall of Fame now, right? So, yeah, I mean outside of, I mean you got, yeah, I'm gonna go around there. I mean Palffy played on a team during some dark years, but despite that, he almost scored 50 goals a couple of years. He was, I mean, you could say that Palffy is like the last time the Islanders have had like an electric, just bring you out of your seat scoring winger, and he's the last one. So I loved watching him play. He's the reason why, like, you know, my nickname was Ziggy in high school, and my username for like AIM and stuff back in the day was Ziggy7716. So you know, yeah, I mean this is a layup here. I think, get the hoop. So I would love to see it happen.
Yeah, because I get conflicting things on this. Because has Pat LaFontaine been honored yet?
No, he's not in the Islanders Hall of Fame. So
And
yeah,
I don't think Turgeon is either.
No, I think Turgeon got in.
Okay. Again, because I'm sorry that I don't have it. I was just getting conflicting stuff. And by the way, it took me a minute to recognize Pat Flatley, that who was in there the other day.
But now you have me second guessing myself. I thought, pretty sure they inducted Turgeon in.
Well, let's take a look at that. But first, let me give you this, Anthony. I gotta say, if it's not LaFontaine, I think it's a yes. Zigmund Palffy. Zigmund Palffy was the brightest spot, just the brightest star on that team in the darkest era of Islanders hockey, and the only reason why he was traded was because of ownership and that they weren't the best. Let's just say it like that.
Is this
Yashin, no.
Yeah, no, he's not. I mean, don't get, he brought them back to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years after that trade. And don't get me wrong, he was a good player, but he didn't have the kind of like impact or numbers to say no.
Yeah. It wasn't an immensely defensive error when he was in. The first season, he was really good. The second year, okay. And I think he might have had some problems after with his calf. After I think it was Yashin, I think. Late in his Islanders career.
Calf? No, are you thinking about when he got his forearm stepped on after?
Okay.
And
maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might have been in the last season that he was on the team. That might have been 06, 07. I think Aaron Asham stepped on his forearm and kind of like severed some tendons. But no, that might be what you were thinking about it. He never had a problem with a calf or anything like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I thought he had a puncture wound with a calf that gave him problems.
No, you're thinking of him getting stepped on. His
okay,
forearm.
yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't put Alexei Yashin in. I wouldn't put Michael Pekka in.
No.
Although again, they were great helps to the New York Islanders. Although, do you put in a Jason Blake or Josh Bailey? There's another one that could go in.
I do think they are going to put Josh Bailey in one day. He's up there in league games played all time for the Islanders. He was Islanders whole career. Had some nice moments. So, yeah, I could see down the road Josh Bailey getting in for sure.
I think definitely Martin and Clutterbuck are probably going to.
Yeah, honestly, Martin and Clutterbuck could. I mean, they were
do you make a plaque for the identity line altogether?
They were long-time Islanders, so it's possible.
Because if you put Martin and Clutterbuck, you got to put Casey Zizekas in.
Because with the Islanders, it's not with the Islanders Hall of Fame. It's not just all about numbers. So yeah, it's about just impact and what you did for the franchise. They were fan favorites.
Mm-hmm.
No, DiPietro won't be. Although that one's not a stretch. Franz Nielsen, he was a good player, but I mean, like guys like Nielsen, Oposo, they played they went on to play for other teams for another 5-6 years in some cases. So I don't know about them, but Josh Bailey, I think definitely could get in one day. But yeah, Mark, I agree. Palffy should be in. Bailey's too fresh, so I can't really think of anybody else over Palffy that I would say should get in next. If I really try to rack my brain about it, I'm trying to think anybody from maybe, you know what? Maybe those 92, 93 team, like maybe a guy like Ray Ferraro. I mean, Ray Ferraro went on to play for other teams too, but Ray Ferraro had some really clutch playoff moments. He had a good Islander career. But I don't know, maybe like Kenny Janssen.
Kenny Janssen's in.
Oh, yes, he is. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Kenny Janssen is in.
Then again, another guy that was well deserving of it.
I really don't know.
I got to tell you, I went to Vegas and saw the game. I saw almost as many Zigmund Palffy jerseys as I saw Dynasty guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously, but Nelson, Anders Lee, Barzell probably. I think I do agree with Chris T. They're locks. Speaking about a guy that was in Vegas, I wish I got to meet up with you at the game, but I was I never checked my messages. But that would have been cool. But Anthony, let me also just set this scene before we move on. John Tavares steps to the mic, thanks everybody at Nassau Coliseum for all of his time there. They raise his jersey number to the rafters. He's in the Islanders Hall of Fame, and all is forgiven. But the year is 2065. That's when all will finally be forgiven for between Tavares and them. I would love to see John Tavares honored by the New York Islanders. He deserves it, but unfortunately, that exit still sits.
Imagine if Lou signed him on July 1st, 2025.
Lou probably could. Lou might have it in the contract. Was signing John Tavares that day to a one-day.
How would that be for irony? And he ended his career on Toronto says no, and then he comes back.
Yeah, well, he'd have to put on a whole new set of pajamas, but that would be what he'd have to do.
Yeah.
Anthony, let's go. Let's stick with the 2065 because let's go with the number 65 that's right there. With the Pittsburgh Penguins favoring a retool, including a team trying to take on the contract of Erik Karlsson, maybe where the Penguins even have a little bit of salary retention. Karlsson, 32 points in 49 games this season. He's a minus 13. Anthony, the Penguins can actually find a taker for Erik Karlsson. I think I called him Aaron. Might as well, but Erik Karlsson.
Hold on a second. What Mika? Is he what?
Is he talking about Mikko Mikkola?
Yeah, is he referring to Mikko Makela? Because I would highly doubt that. Good player though, honestly. But no.
You might as well put Nick Vakoda in first then.
Yeah. or like John Ratting said, Rich Pilon.
Rich Pilon, yeah. After all, Rich Pilon. Quick funny story before I re-ask this question again. When he first went to the Rangers and he took a penalty, he went to the Islanders penalty box and he smashed his hand against it, and he was wondering why they wouldn't open it because they had to point and go, "You're in that box now."
Yeah.
So, Anthony, do you think
relentlessly and we
Anthony, do you think Pittsburgh can actually find a taker for Erik Karlsson?
I mean, yeah, I think they could, but I mean, the contract is still, I don't know.
I'm getting that number for you right now.
Yeah, he's not playing bad offensively, but I mean, we all know he's never been great defensively either. And as he's getting older, I feel like that's becoming even more noticeable. So if a team just wants a guy who can put up some points from the back end, yeah, maybe, but I don't think the return is going to be, all that great. So it comes to a point where for Pittsburgh, the main point would be just to get him off the books rather than what they get in return for him. So, he's also going to control where he goes. I mean, this point in his career, he's not going to agree to just go anywhere. I'm sure the list would be short. So, yeah, I'll say Beer, but I don't see it happening, especially with Pittsburgh still being in the playoff mix. I don't think that's something that would happen, at least right now.
Well, I'm gonna have to go shot on this. I just can't. I don't see it, Anthony. I absolutely just do not see it. I'm trying to think of a team that's gonna go and need a power play quarterback that they're paying at least, because it's $10 million. You can only take up to, I think it's 50%.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, you're paying half his salary, and he's 34. He's got a bum foot to begin with, and it's 2 more years on top of that deal. So you're gonna have to ask, like, Pittsburgh's gonna have to get a lot back if they're gonna take on $15 million of that salary. Or, I mean, obviously it's 10, because it would be half and half, and then whatever the half is when they deal with this point, because obviously it's not $10 million. But I don't know. I don't know who's looking for Erik Karlsson anymore.
I mean, he's always, when talked about Karlsson, Detroit has kind of always been a team that's been mentioned. So, but again, for Detroit's the same as Pittsburgh. I mean, they're a bubble team, likely to miss themselves. So Detroit's not going to make that move unless they know for sure they're going to be a playoff team. And I don't think that's going to be the case. If they make the playoffs, it probably won't be till like the last day of the season. So I don't know if that's a fit for them. Would he go to a team like Vancouver where there's a little bit of a Swede contingent?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, they're a team that's not really a given to make the playoffs, at least right now, anyway. Toronto. I mean, would he go to Toronto? Maybe. Or about Ottawa? Would he go, if Ottawa looks like they're going to make the playoffs? Would he go back to Ottawa? Where kind of maybe too.
I still think that's a bit of a stretch. To say Ottawa, to say the least, because it's. I just don't see the team that's really looking and going, we need Erik Karlsson. I mean, they probably need Erik Karlsson from a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's what they would probably want to say. But let me ask you this, Anthony, where does Alex Nedeljkovic rank in Pittsburgh goal scorers over the last 7 days?
Pretty high.
He's tied for second.
Yeah.
Because Rust, Beauvillier, and Glass all had 2 goals. Crosby, Hayes, and Raquel.
Yeah.
I almost said Reichel. Raquel each have a goal. So he has more goals in the last week than Erik Karlsson. Granted, it's only 3 games. And even Malkin's got 1. So he's tied with Evgeny Malkin. But I don't see the team that's going, I need Erik Karlsson, or that's beating down the door. And we could have told you this 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, I should say, when the Penguins first made that trade to begin with. All right. Moving on to a team that's having a lot of success this season, and it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. 62 points this season, second in the Eastern Conference. They're leading the Atlantic Division. And Anthony, you can't put your finger on it, but just go from your gut. Something is different about this Maple Leafs team.
Shot. No. Nothing's different. They always are in the upper echelon of the league in points during the regular season. And then come playoff time, they don't get the job done. And I think that's going to happen again. Sorry, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like Joseph Wall in goal. I mean, Stolarz was playing great before he got hurt. So their goaltending hasn't been an issue, but there's something about that team, and maybe this is the year they prove me wrong. And you know what? And fair. You call it unfair, but this is what happens to a team like them when you consistently, are supposed to finally get over the hump and you don't. It's like, I'm not going to believe you until you prove me wrong. So, they have to prove me wrong. And until then, I view them as a team that's great in the regular season, but can't get the job done in the playoffs. So, I'm going to stick with Shot there.
Anthony, to be fair, I have to say, yeah, I'll go with Beer. There's a little bit of a different take with them. It kind of feels like they're more set up for success this year, but that's what it feels like right now in January. You don't know what it's going to be like in April come playoff time when just Matthews, it looked like he was going to start taking off last year. And then I think he missed most of that series and he never came back at the end when they really needed him. And they were up 3-1 in the series. Then you have Marner. He's another guy. He's got to answer some playoff bugaboos. But Anthony, also, they're goaltending. Their goaltending, while we said we like them, I bring this up all the time. When you get goaltenders that start getting to career highs in numbers, like Joseph Wall is, for instance, and Anthony Stolarz, for that matter, when they start breaking that glass ceiling, they start breaking down as well. And that's why you need to make sure you're conditioned for that. I'm not sure if they're ready for that. And both, by the way, physically or mentally. And I know that's sort of like an old thinking of Mike Keenan. He used to just throw one goaltender in. You're my goalie. That's it. And and I know we're in the age of tandems, but in the age of tandems, you're also starting to look at the bench a little bit quicker because you might get yanked. And the Maple Leafs, I don't know if they're ready for that with Joseph Wall. We're going to see about that. We have 2 months to figure it out. Maybe that 3-week break or 2-week break for the Four Nations tournament helps him out a little bit more. Anthony, moving over to Utah, where the Utah Hockey Club has got Logan Cooley, who is playing exceptional. Your guy that you picked for Rookie of the Year last year underperformed a little bit, but he's about to pass his career high in points. Career high was one season, so it's easy to pass it when it was the year before. And 42 points. He's looking outstanding right now. Great goal the other night. Anthony, Logan Cooley will finish as Utah's top scorer.
I'm gonna say Clayton Keller holds on, and at the end of the year, still leads in scoring. I think Keller has 50 points, 48. But
I'm getting it.
I think that he's still probably their number one offensive player, their best facilitator. Obviously, he's going to play in all key situations, so he's going to be naturally, he's going to keep putting up points. So, maybe if he got hurt, then I think Cooley would pass him. But not taking away from Cooley, though. I think Cooley, could end up being Utah's best player in another year or so when he really kind of grows into himself and fully develops. I think this is a phenomenal player. He has all the tools, and Utah is a team that's on the rise. I mean, Dylan Guenther, Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, Nelson Krause, Matthias Marcelli. They got a lot of good pieces for the future and going forward. And I think Logan Cooley is going to lead the charge there, and Utah's rise to the top in a few more years. But for now, I'm going to stick with Beer just because I think Keller will hold on and still lead the team in scoring.
Yeah, I'm actually going to join you in that and just say Beer as well because, it's one guy ahead of him. He is ahead by 8 points. It is 50-42 right now. And Keller is their guy that they go with. And there's no shame in finishing second to Keller anyway. No. But, Logan Cooley's really starting to come into his own. You'd like to see a little bit more of a power play production. Keller's got 12. Actually, Logan Cooley's actually beating him on the power play. Actually, no. Okay, Keller's had. It's 23 points, to 22. Math was a little bit off for a second.
Damn it, Marc.
I was trying to go fast on it. But you got to like what you've been seeing out of Cooley, and you got to like what he's been producing, and just let the kid play. And if he beats him out, great. Keller has had a little bit of history of injury, but he's been healthy. I think the last couple of years he's been healthy the entire time, because after all, he had 85 points 2 years ago. But don't off the top of my head on that one, guys.
I'm adding one more bar talk topic for you.
All right, great.
We'll see what it is.
Well, I hope there's going to be another Bills question in a minute. But we're going to skip the Pacific Division. Don't really have a topic for them today. But Anthony, this was talked about by Frank Saravelli on his site, Daily Faceoff. But the NHL should require refs to answer questions after games.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because they make a lot of questionable calls. I would like to see what their train of thought was and have to have them answer to questionable calls. But I think the league wants to focus on the players and not on the refs, so I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah. So that's a beer for you, right?
A shot.
Okay, shot. Because I'm gonna have that shot right there. Take it down. Put it right back up again. Unfortunately, we can't do that. If the ref wants to volunteer his time and information, then he can. Look, and this would be great. I would love to get Dave Jackson on and talk to him about this. But I think if you start asking refs their opinions, then they're going to be influenced by their thoughts with the media. Keep them away from the media. Keep them away from everybody else. Look, if the ref wants to describe the event that happened on the ice, the call on the ice stands. Great. The call on the ice has been overturned. 73 was offsides, as what happened last night. That's fine too. If you're able to give the description, but Lord help you if the referee gives a description of an event and he's wrong.
Yep.
Because then every fan's gonna go calling for his head, and it's the most thankless job. I wouldn't want it on anybody. The eye in the sky does see a little bit more because there's multiple different camera angles. You can slow things down. But no, Anthony, I can't have referees under that spotlight.
You ready, Mark?
Go ahead.
All right, Mark. One of my favorite players of all time, Alexander Ovechkin, has 21 goals in 31 games this season. After, obviously, we know he missed a bunch of time with his broken fibia. Alexander Ovechkin will tie Gretzky's record this season. He needs 20 goals in 35 games.
All right. Let's go first with his production. Obviously, he's had 21 and 30. Alex Ovechkin will fire the puck from anywhere, and that is part of what makes him great. He shoots. There are guys that would tell you that in fantasy hockey, he could win you shots on net by himself. Now, he's actually shot the puck less in recent years, but you know something? I think there's just a magic carpet ride in Washington. And I think if he gets within single digits, he's going to do it. Here's the other thing that goes with it, Anthony. The Capitals right now are one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league. It's just making sure. Yep, they're ahead of Winnipeg now. So they got 69 points. Do you know who plays in empty net situations?
Ovechkin.
Alexander Ovechkin. So there's easily, I'll say the rest of the season, easily 5 empty net goals for him. And I have no problem with that because he used to never play in empty net situations. And I'm gonna go right to it. I'm gonna buy around. On this one. I love Ovechkin to tie it this season, if not break it. And if he's tied on the final day, you can guarantee they'll take everybody off the ice and let him try to break it that day. Imagine the last day of the NHL season, Alexander Ovechkin breaks Wayne Gretzky's record.
You know what? Just to be, I could play it safe. I could say shot. I could say beer. I'm gonna go round. You know what? I think he does it. This guy's a man on a mission. He breaks his leg and he only misses, how much time did he miss? Like five weeks? And
I think he missed 5 weeks with a broken leg.
I mean, he's looked phenomenal this season. I think he's super motivated, especially the fact that his team's the best team in the league. I think that's giving him extra motivation because not only can he break the record, him and his teammates are thinking, maybe Stanley Cup. So I think that adds even more fuel to the fire here. And I think he's destined to do it. And now the question I'm going to ask you is, I'm sure he's obviously a proud guy. Let's just say he's tied. He's tied Gretzky. He has 894, and his team is winning by a goal, and net's empty. Do you think he wants it that way? Like, do you think he would tell? Do you think he would tell his coach don't put me out there? Like, if I'm gonna break the record, I want it to be on a goalie. Or do you think he wouldn't care? You think he would just go out there and put it in the empty net?
Well, let me first say this. A goal is a goal. And an empty net goal is a team effort. So that also is another thing. Wayne Gretzky broke the record for fastest to 50 goals in an empty net. So let's get that one in there. This particular case, yeah, you would love to have a goalie in there. Like, for instance, off the top of your head, do you remember who was in net when Gretzky scored to break Howe's record? That'd be Kirk McLean. It was Curry to McSorley to Gretzky. So it was and the greatest of all time right there. Yeah, you'd love to have the answer be a trivia question like that. Like, who gave up 756th home run to Barry Bonds? And that was a former New York Met powerhouse, Mike Baksick, that did that. Or who caught Aaron Rodgers' 500th touchdown. I was at the game. I forgot who did it. I didn't have the video of it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he would take it. I just wonder, like, I feel like scoring on an empty net goal would be a little anticlimactic, but I hope he does it this season. Because speaking of anticlimactic, like, could you imagine he finishes this season on it's 894, and then the season opener next year he just needs one goal? I feel like that kind of doing it right away. I like if he could do it this year. I think that would be the best fashion for him to do it, rather than the season ends, he needs 3 more to start next season, and he gets it in the 3rd game. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a huge feat, still be super cool. I just hope he could do it this year and complete it this season.
And at that, by the way, he broke, I believe it was Yager's record for most different goaltenders that he scored on.
Yeah.
And you gotta love it that I don't think there's anybody that doesn't want to see him win this now, to break this record.
Yeah.
I think everybody, including Gretzky, we all know about this. Gretz said it a while ago when he was in the 700s. And realistically speaking, can we whisper a number that none of us thought might ever be said for a goal scorer? And that's 1,000.
John Butchergrass has been beating that drum for a while. He thinks that's, I guess it depends on how long, how long he plays. So
yeah, I wish I had more time to do that like Butchie does.
Yeah.
But I mean, Anthony, he plays 4 years. That might be 1,000.
Yeah.
So, because I've said this numerous times about him. He's going to be Brett Hull 2.0 when his legs are gone. He'll just find the empty spot and just wire shots.
And honestly, he's looked much faster this year in opposed to years prior. I think he looks pretty good. He doesn't look like he's skating in mud. He looks still like not really a vintage OV, but he still looks pretty good. So that's good.
I'm gonna type one in. And did anybody have a Bar Talk suggestion that you saw on there, Anthony?
No, I didn't.
And there we go. We got this one. Here you go, Anthony. Special for this weekend for you. More passing yards this weekend, Mahomes or Allen?
Oof.
Because you went with rushing yards last the last game. And I told you it was going to come down to more important things. Like they let Jackson run all over the place. His passing yards were going to be more of a factor.
So
and those 2 turnovers were a factor.
I think Allen only threw for like 127 yards last weekend. He didn't really. But then again, it was cold, the snow a little bit. I think this week in Kansas City is going to be more conducive for the passing game. So I think Allen's definitely going to throw more, but I'm going to say Mahomes. I'm going to say Mahomes has more passing yards.
I'm going to go Josh Allen. You know what? I got to tell you, I want Josh Allen to do this. I want him to go to the Super Bowl. I want him to win it. Not just for you, Anthony, but also stick it to the pundits on a sports network that never gave him any credit.
Yeah, and you know what? Also, too, the Chiefs have been in 7 straight AFC Championship games. They won the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. They're becoming like the Patriots, where like the rest of America does not like them. They're sick of them. So I think most people have the same sentiment as you. They want the Bills to win, and they're just tired of the Chiefs. Mahomes, the reputation that he gets from the refs. Don't even get me started on those 2 calls against Houston last week on Mahomes. They were despicable. So I'm with you there. I hope that this is the year that the Bills get over the hump here.
We've been overdue for a good upset, and I think it can happen this year.
Yeah.
So all right, here John, we've actually gone over this a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, but we kind of had that sentiment. We'll go through this right now. Do you think LA can finally beat Edmonton this year, Anthony?
I said no when we talked about that. I mean, I'm not in love with the Oilers roster as an entirety, but I mean, McDavid, Draisaitl, right? I mean, I feel like that's all you need, especially in the early rounds. Those 2 guys are 2 of the best players in hockey, so I think they'll carry the Oilers out of the first round with just them 2 alone.
I think it would come down to the penalty killing and the power play, and the Oilers will run them out of the building then.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing to be on that, Anthony, because you have first off, you have one of the best defensive forwards of all time.
Yeah.
In Anze Kopitar. You have one of the other best defensive forwards in the league in Philip Deneau, and they can't get past them. They can't shut down Draisaitl and McDavid. And now you have look, their system seems to be a little bit different this year. Jim Hiller's doing a good job, but I mean, this is almost starting to feel like I feel like an architect after every kaiju attack or Godzilla attack. You're rebuilding everything. You're like, it looks great, and then you hear Godzilla scream, and you just kind of go, all right, here we go again. So I don't see it. I don't see it particularly happening, even though we would like to see it happen. Because after all, wouldn't mind not seeing Will Ferrell at a hockey game right now. And also, same way like we don't want to see Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl again.
Yeah.
We were a little bit pressed for time today, so we didn't want to do. We didn't have time to get together blind rankings. Guys.
Oh, I have one for you.
Oh, you do? Great.
I have one for you. Don't. Hey, listen. I'm always Marcus Mariota. I'm always prepared to give you a blind ranking.
Love it, Anthony. Love it. I am ready for the blind ranking.
I actually have. I'll let you choose to see which direction you want to go in. But I have 2 blind rankings for you: top 5 Ranger forwards and defensemen. Which one you would like to do first?
Well, I'll take them both on, but I'll go with I'll start with forwards for right now.
You'll start with forwards?
I'll start with forwards.
Okay.
Is this all time or is this current?
No, not all time. Just I'm gonna give you 5 Rangers and you'll rank them from 1 to 5. Not current. No.
All right.
Okay. Number 1. Well, not, you know what I mean.
I don't know.
Peter Nedved.
Peter Nedved, I'm going to put him at 4.
4. Okay.
He'd be a solid 3, but I think we're going to go with 4.
Okay. Pat Flatley.
Ugh. You're already killing me. Oh man, I should have went with Nedved at 3. Nedved at 3 was perfect. Then Flatley could have gone to 4. Crap. I'm gonna have to go Flatley at 5 then.
Okay. All right. Andreas Johansson.
Oh dear God. Andreas Johansson at 3.
Going and okay, all right. Listen, I get it. I get it. Jeff Toms.
I don't unless you pull out like Vladimir Vorobiev, I don't think I could get worse than Jeff Toms. By default, he becomes number 2.
All right. Aaron Asham.
Oh, number 1. Aaron Asham, the only guy to play for every team in the Atlantic Division, I believe, at one point. He played for the Rangers, Islanders, Devils, Montreal Canadiens. I think he also played for the Flyers at one point. I know that. And the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
So I missed. But Aaron Asham, who, by the way, had the game-winning goal, Game 7 versus the Washington Capitals. All right. In reality, it would be Nedved 1. I'd probably go Asham 2 then.
Yeah. Not Flatley?
Flatley 3.
Yeah.
Now that I have the rankings, Johansson, then Toms, because Johansson had some good moments as a Ranger.
All right. Here you go, defenseman.
Here we go on defenseman.
All right. Roman Hamrlik.
Four.
Okay. All right.
I already got myself in trouble with that the first time. I might as well do
all
it
right.
again.
All right. Brian Berard.
Brian Berard, I'm actually going to move him to 3 for the story and what he had to go up against. He wasn't that bad as a Ranger for the 1 year he was there.
Yeah. David's on to me. He said, go 2. It's a trap. All right. So you have Hamrlik at 4, Berard at 3. Next up, Joel Bouchard.
Joel Bouchard was a better Islander than anything else. I'm falling for the trap. I'm going to put him at 5.
You're going to put him at 5. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, that's okay. That's okay. You never know what's going to pop up. Brian Leach may come up. You never know.
Never know.
All right. Jason Strudwick.
I would love to get Jason Strudwick on. I'm putting Jason Strudwick at 1. I'm putting Jason Strudwick on 1. I am tweeting this out and saying we would love to have you on the show. Because after all, everybody wants to give so much credit to Marek Malik and saying, what a great move that he pulled in the shootout. Everyone forgets Jason Strudwick kept that shootout going. Keep going.
All right. Lastly, Erik Karlsson.
I guess Erik Karlsson has to go for 2.
Yeah.
Anthony, thank you for all this because now I have to get the soundbite of it's a trap. If not the soundbite, at least the video footage of that. Yeah. Erik Karlsson as a New York Ranger, he had all that potential. Clearly, he was a better New York Islander.
Yeah, he was long tenured Islander. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. There was the huge contract dispute with him. I had to double check. I think that's back with the era of Group 2 restricted free agents or something like that.
Now, what do all those Ranger defensemen have in common?
They were all former Islanders.
Yes. Do you know which one had the shortest career as an Islander?
I'm actually hold on. Not Hamrlik. He actually had a decent career as an Islander.
Yep.
I'm actually going Jason Strudwick.
It is. He only played 18 games for the Islanders over a course of 2 years.
That's amazing because whenever I think about him, I usually think about him as a New York Islander.
He was traded. They traded him to the Vancouver Canucks. You know who they traded him for?
I'll
give you a hint.
Yes.
He unfortunately passed away in 2023.
Oh no, who?
Gino Ojic.
Oh my goodness. Gino Ojic was an Islander? Forgot all about that.
Yeah.
I legit did forget all about that.
Parts of 3 seasons.
All right. Wow. Gino Ojic, who I believe was in the Marc Messier trade. Yeah, no Dale Parrington is what Dave's saying right there. Anthony, we got Puckdoku.
All right.
Let's do a quick Puckdoku and get that going. Also, we'll do a pyramid right after that, and then take a couple questions. We'll call it a night. Or blind ranking NHL enforcers. This is the guy down here that you should do that with. He won the Puckdoku because of all the NHL enforcers. NYR for Life, by the way, is asking if Bartok question: if a Florida team won the Stanley Cup this year, who would you choose?
Panthers.
Tampa Bay or the Panthers? Yeah, I'd go with the Panthers. They're the repeat champions. You give it to them. And the other thing about that is that's really more of a pick one. We're gonna have that segment coming up sooner than later. By the way, we're almost at 1,000 views right now. 1,000 people that are watching. Thank you very much, everybody. Bulk of you on X that are watching. We usually have a lot more interactive segments, but we're just going to go with this for right now. All right, Anthony, the top row, Carolina Hurricanes, Toronto Maple Leafs, 0 playoff games played in their career. So they cannot play in a playoff game. But the y-axis is Calgary, San Jose Sharks, and Washington Capitals. So where do you want to start?
The zero playoff game career that makes that adds a little wrinkle into it. So Calgary Flame that played 0 playoff games.
Calgary Flame that played 0 playoff games. Yeah.
Guys like on the roster right now, the ones that come to mind, that I'm sure the percentage would be too high, like Dustin Wolf, Connor Zary, guys like that. But I feel like that might be a little too easy.
Yeah, I think the better thing would be to look at failed prospects.
Oh, you know what? In our blind rankings, I mentioned Joel Bouchard. He played for the Flames. Question is, did he play any playoff games?
That's a great question, Anthony. And the short answer is, wow. Joel Bouchard never played in a playoff game.
All right. So, yeah, use him.
Yeah, I am stunned by that one. So let's go right to Joel Bouchard, Calgary Flame, and no playoff games. 0.1%, Anthony. That's a hell of a good get right there. Okay, so we still have a San Jose Shark and a Washington Capital that we could go with. Also, obviously, there's a lot of the other guys that are right over here.
I would just say keep going down. So do Sharks and no playoff game right underneath.
Sharks and no playoff games. So for the Sharks,
well, obviously, like Macklin, Celebrini, Will Smith, but those are going to be through the roof, so you don't want to use that.
Again, I think the best thing to do is if you could ever think of a failed prospect, like I'm looking right now at Sergei Bolton. Can't even remember who he is. Let's see. Jim Kite. He played.
People saying Pat Falloon, but didn't you
Pat
remember
Falloon played playoff games?
Yeah, because he went to Philly and Pittsburgh and stops like that after San Jose. So I think he did.
Yeah, if it's one of those things. If you remember, like, take for instance, Ray Shepard played for the San Jose Sharks. However, he definitely he scored his goal in the Stanley Cup Finals for the Florida Panthers. So that's how I know he definitely played a playoff game.
I mean,
So obviously guys like Mike Rathje don't go
Ray
with.
Whitney played in plenty of playoff games.
Ray Whitney's won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Uh,
maybe he's thinking it's just that franchise. It's not the case.
Yeah, you're thinking just that franchise, but the truth also is Ray Whitney, as I could bring it up right here. Ray Whitney had playoff games with the San Jose Sharks. He played 14 of them. Remember the Sharks had 2 very impressive playoff runs very early in their Mark,
what about and I just thought of this because Think First said Askarov, but the percentage would be super high. But he got me thinking goalies. What about Wade Flaherty? Did Wade Flaherty ever play a playoff game for anybody?
That's a good question. Because you do know Wade Flaherty's claim to fame, giving up Wayne Gretzky's final goal. Wade Flaherty, he played 7 playoff games, all for the San Jose Sharks.
Oh, really? All for
94,
the Sharks?
95.
Huh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So what about Jeff Hackett then?
Jeff Hackett played for the Blackhawks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was thinking Shark. Okay. All right.
Yeah. That's why again, think failed prospects. I think that's usually the best way to go. And I got one.
Who?
Dodie Wood.
Did you look that up? Did you cheat?
I'm on IMDb. Not on IMDb. Hockey reference. For some of these, Anthony, this is the way you're gonna have to do this.
No, I don't like that. I'm not about the cheating, Marcus.
It's not cheating, it's research.
Yeah.
This is an open book test.
No, it's not. It's closed.
Right, because then we're gonna be here for a while. Oh, hey, actually Merkley would have been a good one.
Yeah.
All
right. Capitals, no play. Well, this one I got up top because Aaron Ness played for the Islanders, the defenseman. He never played, obviously, a playoff game for the Islanders, and he played for the Capitals, and he never played for a playoff game for Washington either. So,
John Radigan saying Mike Marzin.
I mean, I don't even know who that is, but I know for sure the Islander defenseman Aaron Ness never played in a playoff game.
Aaron Ness never played in a playoff game?
No.
Marzin, by the way, did not. Aaron Ness. And you are correct. He played for the Islanders 20 games, and he played for Washington. So Anthony wins that one. He doesn't have to worry about the open book test that I have. So Aaron Ness. All right.
Yeah, I believe Urbe played a lot of playoff games, I think.
Really? Ryan Merkley?
Yeah. What?
Ryan Merkley, right?
No, I'm talking about Urbe. I was saying that Urbe.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking Merkley. I saw him on there.
Yeah.
Urbe won 2 playoff series. Urbe won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
What
do you got next?
Okay, so by the way, Ryan Merkley did not play a playoff game. You could have used him.
Yeah, that's a good one, David. I didn't even think about him.
One of the guys I always like to go to is Sean Donovan for some reason, but he gets with Calgary and he doesn't get there's Jeff Friesen, is that who I'm thinking of? Jeff Friesen, former Devil, and I believe
anything you use for Jeff Friesen with the Sharks is going to be high though, because he was a well-known Sharks player. So
yeah, and obviously,
which column are you doing right now? Anyway,
I started looking at Maple Leafs, and I'm going with the Maple Leafs on this one.
All right, we'll just pick. So
let's go Capital Maple Leaf. I mean, Sylvain Cote is coming to mind.
Yeah, you could do Sylvain. He played for Toronto, right?
Yeah.
He played for Washington.
I definitely think he played for Toronto.
You could use Jamie Heward too.
You know what? I love Jamie Heward for this. Yeah, let's go Jamie Heward. So it's Jamie. Is that the way you do it? Heward?
Yep.
Jamie Heward. We're still in the zeros. Okay, so Shark and a Maple Leaf. Obviously, Vesitoskala would go in there.
Yeah.
But Bill Holder? Bill Holder went to the Leafs?
I think he played for the Sharks.
Bill Holder played for the Sharks. He didn't play for the Leafs.
Did Ulf Dahlen play for the Maple Leafs?
I believe he did. Nope, just the Capitals. Different versions of the Stars for a while. But no, Ulf Dahlen did not do that.
He played for the Sharks, though, right?
Played for the Sharks, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He was the guy that the New York Rangers traded for Mike Gartner. All right, Steve Thomas would be in there, but but he's not a Shark. Nope. Trying to rush this so we could get to the pyramid and get this done.
Did Rob Davison ever play for the Maple Leafs? I know he played
Davison or Davidson.
What?
Rob
Davison, no D, just Davison.
Thank you.
Played for the Islanders, right?
No, Canucks. Played for the Islanders, yeah.
Shark?
No Leafs.
No Leafs, okay.
No Leafs. Obviously, Owen Nolan would fit that, but that's a little bit too easy.
Yeah, Owen Nolan Dominic Moore?
Dominic Moore, I don't think he played for the Leafs.
I think he did.
Oh, wait. Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Played for the Sharks?
Played for the Sharks back in 2012.
I mean, it might be a little higher than I would like to use, but
all right, so we'll try Dominic Moore. We'll see if that works. I think people might forget. Still 0.5. We're at 0.5, nice. Anthony. Woo! Okay, Calgary and Toronto. Gary Roberts would obviously be a guy in there, but let's try to see if we could do something better with that one. David Rittich, I think he also did, but again, that would be too high.
What about
Doug Gilmore? That would be too high as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dion Phaneuf.
Christoph,
forget who was in that trade.
Did Christoph Oliwa play for Toronto?
That is a good one. Let's try him. He did not play for the Leafs. Gonna check the comment section, see if anybody could come up with a good one. Ed Belfour, that was always a good one, but he's gonna be way too high, Angie. Chris, thank you very much. Kenny Agostino. Let's see that one. Kenny Agostino.
That would be a good one.
Yeah. Kenny Agostino. Yep. Maple Leafs and the Flames. So let's throw them in there.
That's a good one. Good job, Wicked.
That's a good one. Nice job, guys.
That is a good pull.
All right, so we're still at 0%. Let's see if we can keep this going. So Washington Capital / Carolina Hurricane / Hartford Whaler would be in there.
Did Kevin Haller ever play for the Capitals?
Kevin Haller, he sounds like a guy that
I know he played for the Whalers.
Short answer is no, unfortunately. No. He never played for the Capitals.
All right.
I'm thinking along the lines of Curtis Lecision. He would have fit for the Leafs. But I don't know, he wouldn't have fit for the Leafs. Look at the audible one. Who's gonna think of? Kevin Dineen?
Kevin Miller?
Let's try Kevin Miller.
I know he played for the Capitals. Question, did he play for the Whalers?
Well, the good news is he gets on the San Jose Sharks. Kevin Miller, who was also a New York Islander in 1999. He did play for the Capitals, but he didn't play for. He's got two of the teams,
but he never played for the Whalers / Hurricanes.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Johnny Lazarus joined up for us for a little bit.
Capitals, Hurricanes / Whalers. See, Nolan Yonkman. Wow. Surprised you with that name. I don't know if he played for
Capitals. No Whalers. No. There's somebody that we're missing in the Carolina era.
David is saying Anton Babchuk. Did he play for the Whalers and the Flames?
It's okay. I think I got the winner. Bates Battaglia. We'll check Anton Babchuk. He played for the Blackhawks. He played for the Hurricanes and the Flames. That might be your winner right there. Anton Babchuk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice one.
Yeah, we're going to check on how Bates Battaglia would have been in a minute. Babchuk. Okay. Oh, we got a 1. Boo. All right. San Jose Sharks and Carolina Hurricanes. That's and also Whaler. That would be, of course, Ryan Whitney right now. Comes to mind.
That's way too high.
That's way too high. There's a shark that's in there. I know there's a shark. A perennial, like there's like a guy that's definitely fits that.
Did Dennis Seidenberg ever play for the Sharks?
Played for the Hurricanes, never played for the Sharks.
Damn it.
And you get 2 franchises with this one.
A lot of people saying Brian Boucher, but that would be probably super high.
Brian Boucher, San Jose Sharks, and finished with the Carolina Hurricanes. I think that would be high. Let's see if we could just dig up one more first. Well, obviously, Sandis Ozolinsh.
Yeah, but that's super high.
That's super high. You know what? I think I might have one.
Who?
I'm pretty sure he played for them. Darren Turcotte. Yep, Darren Turcotte. Hartford Whaler, because that's where they sent him in 94, 93, I should say, for Steve Larmer, and San Jose Sharks. So Darren Turcotte. There is no way that's going to be that high. One of my all-time favorite Rangers. And we got the last one, Capitals and Capitals. And actually, I think this one is Bates Battaglia. Let me just double check that, make sure. Bates Battaglia, who is a Capital in 2004 and a Hurricane in 2003. You got a better one, Anthony?
No, you can use it.
Okay, Bates Battaglia. Always had a great name for hockey. There's another 1%er, so my apologies, everybody. Yeah, and let's see some of these stats. We were definitely down near the bottom. There's a lot more 0.1%ers on this than I thought. Chris Ferraro would be a guy to use on this one.
Yeah.
Long Islander Chris Ferraro. Looking for some of these other ones, but wow, there's a lot of them right here for the Capitals. Celebrini, yes, you could have used their current lineup, but trying to look at Mike McHuff. McHugh, sorry. Tom Cavanaugh. There's a bigger name that's in there.
Eric Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Al Burrows, former
Al Burrows. There we go. That's a bigger name. Figured he would have at least some playoff games under his
Jason
belt.
Muzzatti.
Billy Peltonen.
Yeah.
So a little bit shocked about that. And then, of course, you go with, like you said, Dustin Wolf, Connor Zary.
Joel Bouchard.
But then you look at some of the Joel Bouchard, 0.1%. All right, let's do a quick pyramid, and then we're gonna take a couple questions and call it an A. Anthony, name a member of the Colorado Avalanche and their history.
The first one's always the easiest. You could do Cloyd Loisel.
And there he is. Claude Loisel was a former Islander, or was he a former Devil?
Former Islander.
Okay. Well, we could have used them right here. 500 penalty minutes.
Yeah, damn. All right. So Avalanche, Nordique, and 500 penalty minutes. Blake Como.
That's actually not a bad one. I'm going to check that right now.
You're not check.
I can Anthony. We might need to save him. How about this one?
Save him for what? He never played for the Kings.
Okay. Well, I had another former New York Islander that did play, and he's got 721 playoff minutes. Claude Lapointe. That nobody's saying Claude Lapointe, so that'll keep us down at the bottom. There you go. Still zero uniqueness. All right. 500 penalty minutes, Kings and Avalanche. I got Erik Lacroix. Does he have 500?
Don't
361 is not Erik Lacroix. That is a tough one now. Erik Lacroix. Who was he traded for?
So a Nordique / Avalanche, 500 penalty minutes, and a Los Angeles King.
Yeah. He was traded for Roman Vopat. I doubt that was anything. I don't think Sean Pronger was it, but no. And he has to be. All right, let's see what the comment section saying right here. Nobody will guess Brent Burns. Yeah.
I think I got one.
What do you got?
John Tonelli.
Let's check John Tonelli. By the way, think first. Thanks for joining in.
Although we might want to save him for 1,000 games played in the next one.
Yeah. All right. So we'll save him in the next one because he's got the Nordiques and he's got the Kings on there.
And he's got the 1,000 games, right?
Yeah. 1,028. Just throwing this name out there. What about Pat Conacher? No, 235. They said Brian Burns. Nope, that's not right. I don't think it's Bobby Burns. He played in the 1930s. Let's see. Let's see what else you guys got. Yeah, I figured Mike Sillinger would be in here somewhere. Can't believe. See this. Let me check Blake Como for you. So,
well, he didn't play for the Kings, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right, so we got John Tonelli for the next one, the 1,000 games one. So we just have to try to think: is there
anybody that's there that played for the Kings? And well, I don't think he's got 500 penalty minutes, but Adam Deadmarsh. 819 penalty minutes. But let me see what else we got here.
Does he have 1,000 games? No.
He does not.
So, I mean, if you want, you could use Deadmarsh there and then John Tonelli for the next one.
Yeah, I like that idea. So that's what we're going to do. We'll fire two of them right there. It's funny because it's dead, and there's a 14 uniqueness right there. And John Tonelli right up. Okay, so now we need all of those. Now he had to play for the Edmonton Oilers.
All right, this where it gets a little more.
This gets dicey. So they got to play for the Avalanche / Nordiques. 500 penalty minutes. Eric Lindros. Oh wait, sorry, Nordique fans.
And Kings.
Yeah, whatever. I went for the joke.
You silly, silly Mariota.
So we had Anton Babchuk right here. Got over 1,000 right now watching. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. This is a little bit of the fun section. Well, a little bit more boring if you're watching. Feel free to put in some suggestions in here, guys. But nice to see that everybody is checking us out right now.
I got one.
What do you got?
Oh wait, no, I don't think he played for the Oilers. Damn.
Who'd you have?
I was gonna say Steve Duchesne.
Oh, damn it. I was about to say Steve Duchesne, too.
But he didn't play for the Oilers.
Damn it. We could have used him for one of these. Steve Duchesne. All right. Jeez. Wow. The Oilers, quite the wrinkle. I'm trying to think of somebody that would embody all those.
Bernie Nichols never played for Quebec, did he?
No. I could say that without even blinking, but I'll check it in right now.
No, I don't.
Bernie Nichols has the Oilers, has the Kings, has San Jose, but he doesn't have Quebec.
Sergio Momesso?
No, I don't think he's got
Quebec?
yeah, he doesn't have Quebec. And
Dave Semenko never played for Quebec, did he?
all right. So, yeah, I know. This one's a tough one, guys.
Oilers.
This one is definitely a tough one.
Oilers, Avalanche, Kings. Oilers, Avalanche, Kings. Oilers.
And it's funny because, Anthony, usually they're doing this and they're putting us somewhere up top where see, I don't think any of the stats needs because I think Peter is basically Quebec. No, he was St. Louis Blues at the end. By the way, probably one of the greatest or the most underrated players of all time. I don't think Adam Oates played for Quebec. So who am I missing?
I'm just trying to rack my brain thinking of Oilers, Kings. Not necessarily the penalty minutes right away. Just thinking of the Canucks. The Oilers, Kings, and Nordiques. Like guys like I know like Matthias Nordstrom played for the Kings. I know he played for no, he didn't play for the Russ Courtnall played for the Kings. He didn't play for the Jeff Sanderson never played for the Nordiques.
This is riveting television right now.
Owen Nolan? No. Owen Nolan? No. Luke Robitaille?
Luke Robitaille never played for Edmonton.
Yep.
Nor the Avalanche. Robitaille went Kings, Penguins, Rangers, Kings, Detroit.
Paul Coffey never played for the
Paul Coffey never played for the other ones. There's 500 penalty minutes.
Yeah, the 500 penalty minutes, that's you don't have to be a goon to have that many penalty minutes. You just have to play.
You have to have longevity.
You just have to play for a really long time.
Like I'm sure Ron Hextall has 500 penalty minutes.
Who?
Just throwing out there, Ron Hextall. I'm pretty sure he had 500 penalty minutes.
Yari Curry comes to mind, but I feel
Yari
like
Curry is there, and you know what? He might fit.
Hold on.
Well, Rob Blake. I think that's what it ends with. Yari Curry, by the way, 545 penalty minutes.
Oilers.
And we would have to use Yari Curry now because
Ryan Smith.
you might need him for the next one. Team Canada.
Oh.
So I think it actually is going to go.
You're right. I think we need Ryan Smith for Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a way to keep it down. I'm just going to get us going. Mr. Ryan Smith, known for his long days with the New York Islanders. Okay, here's our stats on this. So, yes, the two most popular answers we got at the end. Ryan Smith was the only option for the top of the pyramid. And Ryan Smith and Yari Curry were the only two options for the bottom part. For that third leg, Steve Duchesne would have qualified in there, but we went with the lowest number, which was John Tonelli. Brad Stewart would have also been there. John Tonelli you went with right there, but who did we go with?
Denmark.
Perrier would have been a good one.
That's where we really screwed up.
Yeah, Ian LaPerriere. Actually, you know what? Anthony, that one's on me. I should have known Ian LaPerriere.
Brad
George
Stewart.
Parros.
Brad Stewart, George Parros. Yeah, look at that.
Or Michel Petit, who played for like every team, it felt like.
Yeah.
This one's an easy. This one's a long one because it's just
that's
anybody with 500 penalty minutes. But did you notice who we had, Anthony, at the very bottom? Claude Loisel.
Yep.
Lucien Dubois, who was 1979 draft pick, 78 draft pick by the New York Rangers. He was drafted ahead of Mike Bossy. I'm pretty sure. Because they John Ferguson said he was he didn't check enough. So that was what we had on that. All right. Andre Sekera ever played for the Avs? He did not.
No.
All right. Guys, unfortunately, seeing some of these. I usually go Mike Liute anytime somebody gives me a Whalers goaltender, but we had a hell of a show, guys. We had a hell of a show on this one. Anthony, a full 2 hours, but man, did we ever take it up for a while with this one. So, guys, everybody, thanks very much for watching. Still got a good chunk of you on X right now. Thanks very much. We do a show every single Wednesday. Frank, we had a pretty good replay. I'll get the chapters in there later. Anthony, on this one, Chris was asking, you probably talked about it, but what's the guess on Dobson's injury?
I mean, I didn't like the way his knee bent there and his leg when he fell. I mean, that could be a whole host of stuff. That could have been an MCL, could have been a ACL, could have been hyperextension of the knee. I mean, you name it. It didn't really look good, but we have to we just have to wait and see what the what the status is. Hopefully it's not too bad, but you know how the Islanders are with injury news, so we'll have to find out shortly. Now look at the Jets. Jets have agreed to terms with Aaron Glenn to become the new head coach. It's good for them. I mean, I think he did a good job in Detroit. And Lord knows the Jets need good coaching. But enough about that train wreck team. Yeah, a little bit of Dobson line A there. Saying 1 day is equal 1 month in Lou terms. Yeah, they need a quarterback too, though. That's the biggest thing because they certainly can't bring back Aaron Rodgers. That's for sure.
No, but they'll get a quarterback, throw him to the Wolves, and then wondering why can't we develop a quarterback? Well, first off, it's hard to develop one in Giant Stadium.
So what's your guess on where JT Miller trade?
I think it might be right before the Four Nations because I think he's probably going to force their hand.
I mean, that's still how long ago? How long is that from now?
I think that's still a couple weeks away.
Yeah, I think he's ended up in Carolina.
I think Carolina is the obvious choice.
That's my guess. I think because there were talk about the Hurricanes trying to move Kakko-Borgen for a little bit now, dating back to the summer. And salary-wise, contract, I think that could be a piece that would fit if it went back to Vancouver. He's young enough where it's still like kind of, it's not a prospect, but it's still a player that clearly could kind of step in and, he's an NHL regular for many years now. So I think Vancouver might be attracted to that because I don't think they want strictly just futures. So yeah, my guess is the Hurricanes. I still think he can end up a Ranger, but we talked about it earlier. There's a lot of hurdles there. I mean, the Rangers want them to retain salary, which the Canucks are not doing on a player that has that many years left.
Nope.
The Canucks aren't thrilled about Heedle's injuries history. So, yeah, I mean, listen, it could still happen with the Rangers, but my guess is that he goes to the Hurricanes. That's just unless the Rangers offered up something that the Canucks couldn't pass up. So
I don't think there's anything they can. Best way to say it. It doesn't make sense for them to not try to do a Mika for JT Miller swap. And once that can't happen,
but no, it's not.
Heedle's really gonna do that.
It's not about retaining money because the Rangers don't want to take it. It's about Vancouver doesn't want to retain any salary. So this doesn't have anything to do with a third team really. Unless
that might be the Rangers' best option. Be a team that retains money and get something back.
Unless this person is saying, I think I see what they're saying. I think they're
using
saying
a third team.
Vancouver trades him to. I'm just gonna like the Ducks, and then the Ducks retain a portion of his salary and train it to the Rangers. So that's what he's all right. So I get what he's saying now. So I guess that's possible, but. Even for that third team, then that third team is still retaining salary on a player that has many years left on his deal. That's a lot of money you retain for 4 or 5 years. You're going to retain 25% salary on a guy that you're going to have on your books for nothing. That's a lot.
You know what? That's a good point. This isn't for 1 year. This is for a while. You're doing it for a player you're never going to have. If somebody is able to pull that off, that is some serious stones. No, I think you can't do it just for this year. I think that the retention spots, you'd have to do it for the entire contract. Oh, he's saying you could retain for this season only. Good. I'll double check that in the CBA. That's usually where I go to Snapboy Steven on that one. He knows the CBA like the back of his hand. All right. Gonna stall for one more second, and then I am off. Gonna go have dinner with my lovely wife and enjoy a nice rest of the night. Although I could always use some movie suggestions in case if you guys got one or a show. I have to start watching Yellowstone. I have not watched Yellowstone. Yes, there's 5 million other shows. Although I have an idea for a sitcom that would absolutely kill it. Would absolutely kill it. I can't say it out loud. I just have to say what Sean Connery would tell Alex Trebek, you're shitting on a gold mine. So Wallace, okay, that's a good one. I got to get through season 2 of Shrinking. I liked that. I know some people liked it, some people didn't. Yeah. Nah. No, don't, because then it won't come true. There's always Sanford and Son, yes. Oh, Frank, you hit the nail on the head. There's always good old shows. Coming up on the 1-year anniversary of my father's passing, and I watched the MASH. He used to always love MASH. Yeah, well, David, I am aging myself right there. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to watch Night Court. The new one, I like the different take on it, although it's just not as good. I watched some episodes of Ted. That was really funny. That was so, yeah. Yeah, word, rest in peace. Think Fast is saying that they only have to, you can retain for this season only. The thing is, Anthony, I wonder, literally speaking,
I don't think that's accurate. I don't think you could just retain salary for 1 year.
Yeah, because you have retention slots, and once you start doing it, because after all, if that's the case, San Jose used their retention on Thomas Hertl to get him off the books.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Butchergross saying that he believes in the New York Rangers, and also last 6 games for Igor Shesterkin, 5-0-1, 145 save percentage, and the 943. Sorry, that's the save percentage. 145 was the goals against. He's doing really good if it's a 145 save percentage. That means he's stopping pucks that aren't even counting on that. So, wow. All right. And yeah, wow. How about this? We're over 1,000 right now on our X feed. So everybody, thanks for catching up with us. But Anthony, we're gonna sign off here. Anthony, let's get you the final word. I want to know your prediction for your Bills this Sunday. Are they going to play in the Super Bowl, or are we going to see Taylor Swift 9,000 times on Super Bowl Sunday?
Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, like, Josh Allen has proved that he could beat the Chiefs in the regular season. But the playoffs, like, actually, so here, Mahomes versus Allen, they're 4-4 against each other, but Allen hasn't yet to beat him in the playoffs. So it's going to be a tough game. I said that I thought that the Ravens were going to be the harder out than the Chiefs. Because when you look at the Chiefs' record, yes, they have one loss, but they were like the worst one-loss football team I had seen in my life. They won so many games where they just got lucky at the end. So I don't. They're flawed. They're not as high octane and much of a juggernaut as they were years prior. So I think the Bills will have a slightly easier time with them than years past. But the thing is, they're still in Arrowhead. That's a tough place to go in and win a football game.
But you've seen the Patriots do it. You've seen Cincinnati do it. And yes, Arrowhead is definitely one of the hardest places to win a football game. Anthony, I'm going to tell you outright. It's hard to get to 3 straight Super Bowls. And I think I can honestly say I think the Bills are going to do it based on just that statistical information. Only 2 teams have been to 3 straight Super Bowls, if I recall correctly. The 70s Dolphins and the 90s Bills. And the 90s Bills went to 4. And it's just, this is crying for an upset. And I just don't think you can do that.
Yes, Ellie?
Thick Fast said, yeah, you definitely can't do that. So, Bills made 4 straight, but then hold on. Anthony's got one play, and we got to get running.
Let's go.
Now taking off.
Let's go. Let's see this on Sunday.
Inside the 10, the 5. Oh, the play of the year in the NFL.
Let's see that. Let's see that this Sunday, Mark.
Hopefully you do get to see that. I had to cut that out, Anthony, because that would be where we got a copyright claim on that at the very end.
Why?
All right. Well, yeah, that would be nice to see it. Look, again, like I said before, it'll be great to see Josh Allen just finally get there. Anthony, we're going to sign off. All right, guys. Everybody, thanks very much for joining us. Big Apple Hockey. We love doing this. And keep recommending us to everybody because we're working hard to get this. We're going global with this baby. So, all right, guys, take it easy, and we'll see you soon. And we'll break the news if JT Miller's traded. And yes, Frank, Bruce Smith and Jim Kelly, you forgot about Cornelius Bennett and some of the other guys. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later.